Madeline Kelly, aka Maddie, is your everyday clumsy girl, a book editor for writer Paul Kennedy. However, the catch is that she is in love with him, but this little information is known to nobody except her mother, not even her friends Emma and Heather. Maddie plans on confessing to Paul tonight, but chickens out when he asks her to be his next book's editor too. After that, Paul meets Emma and a spark appears between the two right away. A spark so strong that Maddie finds herself in Ireland to attend their wedding in mere months. At the airport, Maddie gives a longing look to Paul collecting Emma's million suitcases and ends up missing her own. Clumsily following through, she picks up the suitcase at the same time as a guy and gets into an argument claiming it is hers. She doesn't stop till the bag falls open and she picks up her skirt, opening it, claiming it's hers and realizes they are actually the guy's boxers. Way to be embarrassing, Maddie. After reporting her missing luggage, Maddie takes a bus to Kennedy's, given the no taxis nearby. The suitcase guy, James, also enters the bus, and the two talk, revealing he is a nature photographer and he dislikes Paul's books. Maddie is offended, which makes sense when she gets off at the Kennedy house. James humors it away when she mentions editing Paul's recent book. Paul's brother, Corey, escorts Maddie inside, where Paul's mother and Emma are bonding together. Maddie gets taunting eyes from Paul's mother as the bridesmaid dress is inside the lost luggage, as if it's the poor girl's fault. James seems to be familiar with this place and he comes to cover a sheep shearing festival here. Later, Paul decides to take everyone for a picnic, but currently Heather is flirting with Corey while Emma and Paul are already lovebirds, leaving Maddie pretty brutally ignored. They don't even bother to make her feel unwelcome. Maddie stays back as the couple goes for boating. Sitting on a stone chair, she mentions her wish to marry Paul to her mother, but suddenly her phone glitches and a lady appears behind. She tells Maddie to make the wish properly on the wish chair. Not seeing any harm, Maddie complies. The lady adds dramatics by a stiff breeze which makes Maddie sleep and then wake up in her bed. However, the catch is that Paul's in the bathroom showering like it's normal, and Emma is also unbothered upon seeing him try to kiss Maddie. Confused, Maddie drags Heather to her room narrating the story that she wishes to marry Paul. However, Heather's confusion, the wedding dress in her bag, the wedding ring, and her being in place of Emma in all photos with Paul prove that the reality has indeed been altered. Even though her wish is fulfilled, she acts weird to Paul's sweetness and all the attention. Paul takes her to cycling, but she isn't good at it and falls right where Emma and Heather are. Emma takes over for her and races Paul, leaving Maddie and Heather to pick up apples. Maddie is forcefully made to wear the traditional not-so-pretty wedding dress of the Kennedys, even though she already has a wedding dress. James is in a bookshop nearby, and being the 100th customer of the week, he gets some gifts, one of which is Paul Kennedy's latest release. Right next to the shop, the same wish lady puts up a canceled sticker on the sheep shearing festival's poster. James looks at it and gets dejected. Maddie sees the wish lady from the reflection and rushes out of the shop to catch her, but ends up falling into James' open-roof car. In this reality, James hasn't met her yet, so he is confused when Maddie mentions him not capturing people when Paul's mother assumes Maddie found a wedding photographer. James agrees with Maddie's words nonetheless, but when someone's offered 3 times their usual fee, the rules are allowed to bend a little. Bringing James back home, Paul's mother guides him about how to take all the pictures when Paul walks in. His comments make it seem more of a PR event than a wedding. The 3 of them decide to go for sightseeing and photograph the next day. At night, Maddie is sleeping when Paul gets in bed with her. Surprised, she punches him and knees him in the unfortunate place. So sadly, the next day he has to bail on the plans provided his new icing plans. James and Maddie seem to get into an argument in every conversation, probably because he sees Paul and her don't have much in common, but Maddie is delusional. Reaching the cliffs of Moher, James asks Maddie why she hasn't written any book herself till now, clearly knowing she wants to. James can also see how Maddie's opinion is lacking in the entire wedding scenario. Back home, Emma gets concerned about Paul's injury and talks to him, making him feel better at mood. The 2 of them have a connection in this alternate reality too. As a storm brews up, Maddie and James get halted by a tree blocking the road to Kennedy's. James takes her to a friend's hotel to stay in. She gets to know James, keep traveling, but he changes the subject, asking her to play darts. However, it turns into a cliché romantic moment as he teaches her how to throw one. Meanwhile, Maddie's mom wakes up late due to her alarm glitching and has a hard time getting help at the airport, clearly showing fate meddling with Maddie's decisions. Maddie and James have the time of their life, laughing and dancing around with the locals. The next day, a little car issue causes them to get late and get muddied up. The wedding rehearsals begin at the Kennedys, an annoyance towards the Kellys. Maddie reaches in time to find Emma in her place during the wedding rehearsal, something that no one finds odd. Skipping through the vows, they are about to kiss when a saint's painting winks at her, making her scream, fall, and faint. Waking up, she gets to know Saint Brigid and blabbers about her being the one who did all this. Everyone asks her if she's fine, and then she mentions for the millionth time that she is fine because she is marrying Paul, making it a little cringe to the ears at this point. During the rehearsal dinner, Corey asks the marrying couple questions about each other. Paul doesn't know Maddie, and Maddie has no idea how Paul proposed to her. A little before the wedding, she gets to know through a series of embarrassing and awkward pauses and laughs that she is the one who proposed to Paul. Unlike the previous night with James, Maddie dances awkwardly with Paul and sits down. Seeing James going, she follows him to talk. James questions if she is making a mistake, but Maddie is still in the delusion of having her wish come true and ends up calling out James for running from his own life. After James leaves, Maddie's mom calls to inform she finally found a connecting flight, but right after the call, she gets into an accident. Before going to bed, Maddie gets to know she doesn't even get the right to write her vows. From her room, Maddie notices Paul and Emma having a romantic moment on the patio, and then Emma crying once Paul leaves. The next day, Maddie apologizes to James. James appreciates her book, which he finally read, and points out that if marrying Paul is her wish, then why doesn't she look happy? Paul sees them standing together and walks off offended, as if he wasn't touchy with Emma the previous night. On the wedding day, Maddie talks to the father and gets to know Saint Brigid doesn't always give people what they want, but always gives them what they need. As he leaves, Emma comes in. Maddie tells Emma to be honest with her, so Emma shares how she feels a connection with Paul and starts crying. Maddie consoles Emma, planning to make things right. Maddie walks down the altar in her normal clothes, claiming she doesn't love Paul, but Paul dares to blame the situation on James and calls his and Emma's moment irrelevant. James mentions Paul stealing Maddie's book credits, and for the first time, Maddie stands up for herself. Paul and James get into a fight while Maddie falls, creating an even chaotic commotion. James frees himself and leaves as Maddie receives a call getting to know about her mother's injuries. Thankfully, Emma walks away from Paul for being called irrelevant after Maddie follows James. Maddie tries to stop James, but he doesn't want Maddie and him to end up together under such circumstances. All those blames and accusations make him leave even after Maddie kisses him to make him stop. Maddie rushes to the same spot and looks for Saint Brigid. She tells Maddie things went exactly like they were supposed to and disappears. Emma stops on the wish chair and starts wishing. She wants to unwish her wish. Her unwishing is finally granted as she finds herself drying her hair on Emma's wedding day, not hers. Once again, poor Heather has to hear her absurd ranting. After the wedding goes smoothly, Paul asks Maddie to start writing alone as he goes on his honeymoon. Maddie calls him out about not being how a team works and leaves. She goes to the place where James was staying, but James has left. Looking around outside, she finds James sitting on a bench and goes to greet him. In James's memory, they met on the bus the last time. She gets to know that James met a lady who told him to stay in Ireland for a while to see how things go. Maddie tells him she plans on writing a book on Cliffs of Moher and staying there for as long. She suggests going there together with him, which James doesn't disagree with. The two of them enjoy talking while Saint Brigid leaves as her job for them is done.